All right, second hour of Play and Buck kicks off now. We're joined by White House Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly. Anna, welcome to the program. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks so much, Buck. I'm so excited to be here, and that's a great song you had on in the break, by the way. I really enjoyed that.
Well, thank you very much. We try to have the good tunes flowing. So a lot going on this week and a lot of back and forth already. Let's start with the economy, tariff situation. What should everybody know? Because if when I go to the gym, for example, they have these different channels on. They do have Fox on at the gym down here because I'm in South Florida, but a lot of like the financial channels. And it almost feels like they want everybody to panic every time the president speaks the word tariff. What should everyone know about the plan here and where we're trying to go?
Yeah, so I will share, there are three goals for these tariffs, right? Number one is restrictions. So we are helping our domestic industries by pushing these exports, making sure that American companies can send made in America goods all around the world, making sure we're getting revenue from the things we import. And then most importantly is reciprocity. So President Trump finally, after decades, not just the past 4 years, especially the past 4 years, but really decades of unfair trading practices that have long took advantage of American farmers and workers, President Trump is finally saying, look, American farmers, workers, manufacturers deserve a level playing field. So these tariffs are finally making sure that we are leveling the playing field, enacting the same tariffs that these countries around the world have imposed on us for years. This makes common sense. And it makes sure that American farmers and workers are able to send their goods around the world. And by the way, those revenues are paying dividends. We had 10,000 new manufacturing jobs last month. We have positive job growth in the private sector. That's what the American people want. That's what we want in this building is a strong economy in the private sector that is benefiting from a level playing field finally.
What also is your what is the feeling of the president and this White House on how to handle the slew of these judicial universal injunctions that have come down? I told everybody before you came on, Anna, that the Biden administration had fewer of these against, and it did some very unconstitutional and just aggressive and I would offer unlawful things in the executive branch, but more in 1 month for Trump than 3 years of Biden. Is the strategy here just to take it to the Supreme Court? Does the White House say that there may be other options down the road? What should we know about this?
Well, yeah, here's what we know. You're exactly right. There were 15 efforts in February alone by these activist judges to seize the president's power of specifically hiring and firing from the executive branch. We in this building believe, and I think the American people understand, that the president has the authority to exercise the power of the executive branch. That means hiring people, that means firing people, and ultimately that means delivering on the American people's mandate to eliminate wasteful spending, to shrink our federal workers, and ultimately make our federal workforce more efficient. That is to the benefit of Americans across the country who benefit from federal services. So yes, we have these activist judges enacting these 15 efforts to trample down on the president's authority. We believe that is unjust. We believe it is unconstitutional, and we will continue to fight back against their efforts to seize the power of the president of the United States to run his own executive branch.
We're speaking to Deputy White House Press Secretary Anna Kelly, and CBS News reported this a day ago. Trump to invoke Wartime Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to carry out deportations to Guantanamo. What can you tell us about this?
Well, I won't get ahead of the president, Buck, but here's what I will say. I know there is a lot of talk in the mainstream media about suddenly they are concerned about mass deportations and the pace of that. Guess what? We actually just found out recently that Biden was fudging his numbers on these deportations. They were arresting aliens and then letting them back into our country. That is a universally unpopular policy. That is part of what helped propel President Trump to victory in November, because American people do not want these migrant criminals invading our country. Here's what we do know, Buck. We made over 32,000 enforcement arrests in the first 50 days of the Trump administration. To put that in perspective, we made 33,000, ICE did, at-large arrests in the fiscal year 2024 alone. So I won't get ahead of the president's any specific policies that he plans to impose, but we know that the president is delivering on his promise to enact the largest mass deportation of migrant criminals in American history to stop the invasion. Because, by the way, 14,000 of those we've arrested so far, convicted criminals. Almost 10,000 have pending criminal charges. So President Trump is doing what he promised. He is getting justice for innocent Americans like Lake and Riley, like Jocelyn Nungare, whose lives were brutally taken and unjustly taken by migrant criminals who should have never been in this country in the first place.
And I've seen some early data on this, and it actually comes from the Mexican government side of the border. But we know that official numbers already for illegal migrant crossings are way down. I think 95% plus is where they are. But in a way that it shows that the president is keeping his promise to secure the border, and also that the previous administration intentionally allowed the border to be wide open for anybody to cross over, and that thankfully has come to an end. Do we have data yet, or can you tell us when we will, though, on the plummeting fentanyl seizures at the border as well? Because I know that there's the government of Mexico has been claiming that fentanyl seizures are also way down on their end of things, right? So do we have some data on the drug numbers coming down as well?
Well, so CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, regularly puts out these numbers. Unfortunately, I don't have them in front of me, but we'll be sure to follow up and make sure that you can share those with our listeners. But I will say, the president has vastly different messaging. To your point about encounters at the southern border, I remember, I'm sure you remember, your listeners remember, when migrants were coming into the border in early 2021 saying, thank you, Joe Biden, for this open border, for, with a stroke of his pen, undoing all of the border security measures that President Trump took in his first term. President Trump is finally sending the message to migrant criminals around the world saying, do not come here. He is telling migrant criminals who already are in the country to self-deport, otherwise we will find you and we will deport you. The messaging is vastly different, and I think that is why you see those vastly different numbers. And we're also holding countries like Mexico and Canada accountable for the influx of fentanyl that has come into our country, killing Americans. That's part of the tariff goals as well. So all in all, President Trump is finally sending the message after 4 years of failure under Joe Biden that enough is enough. We will not accept these migrant criminals entering our country, killing Americans. We also won't accept this influx of fentanyl that is also destroying families across the country.
Can you tell us about this news story? I think it was Politico that put it out initially about the clearing out of classified by USAID and also the status of the USAID building. I think you had to do a little cleanup on aisle fake news on that one for Politico and others. What actually happened there?
Yeah, so there was so as you know, I'm sure your listeners know, USAID, that building is soon to be occupied by Customs and Border Patrol, thankfully. So the USAID employees were naturally clearing out the building, vacating the building, and undergoing a very normal process to dispose of classified documents. And by the way, as I said in my X post, which I'm sure is what you're pointing out, many of these were courtesy copies. So that means these are documents that originated from other agencies and were sent to USAID by a courtesy. And by the way, I'll add, I want to shout out Fake News NBC. They actually reached out to me at 3:15 for their story on this, published at 3:16, and then we had to clean up all this fake news that was spreading around and sowing chaos really across the country. But this was a totally normal process meant to dispose of copies of classified documents that already existed, by the way, electronically as well in secure computer systems. Total fake news outrage.
Do you feel like the media is trying to be a little bit less rabid in their anti-Trumpism in terms of the media that's covering this White House day in and day out? Have you started to see perhaps just an attempt to be more, if not even handed, at least more professional in how they approach this? Or are things still pretty rough for those who are clearly opposing the president with their coverage?
You know, Buck, I don't think they know what to do with themselves because we are having fun. Truly, we are winning every single day. And I think they do acknowledge, the fact that President Trump not only won the election by a landslide, but he won the popular vote. He is implementing policies that the American people soundly support. And so they can push their fake news narratives. They can try and poke holes in what he's doing. But guess what? The approval is on our side. The American people overwhelmingly support his agenda. They see that he is delivering on the promises he made on the campaign trail to restore our economy, to secure the southern border, to restore our standing on the world stage. This is what the American people want. He is delivering on his promises, and I think the fake news don't know what to do with it.
It's remarkable. How is it to be right in the center of all the action here for a presidency that is already transformational 1 month in? I know you're super busy, and you say you're having fun. Must be exciting stuff.
It is so exciting. And again, we're winning every single day, and we're having so much fun. The fake news don't know what they don't know how to cover it because they're not used to actually covering a president who actually does things every single day. He is signing more executive orders than any other president at this point in his first or his second term. He is delivering on the promises he made, and it's really fun. I'm not sure if you knew this, but I was involved in the campaign as well, and so I was able to be part of all these promises being made, watching the enthusiasm among all these Americans across the country who are so excited to finally see change after 4 years of failure. And it's extremely exciting to be part of the process in really helping correct all the mistakes over the past 4 years.
White House Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly, come back again soon. Thank you so much for being here, and keep up the great work.
Thanks so much, Beth. Talk soon.
There's a very telling video that's online, one you want to watch. I was there for the event to witness a prediction of what may come in the way of our financial markets. I want you to watch it this weekend, in fact, if you get the chance. While I might have helped to organize this online video event, it was actually my dad, Mason Sexton Sr., who made the prediction regarding the financial markets. This is my father's area of expertise. I think you'll find it really interesting and possibly very beneficial. Growing up, I grew up in a household where the stock market was a big deal because my dad worked in the markets for decades. He created a name for himself on Wall Street by his forecast. The most notable one was calling the crash of '87. His predictions are too numerous to get into here, but he called the crash in 2009 as well. This is a guy who sees what's coming. And you can still see his prediction, his forecast for the future, when you just go to this website. It's free to watch, disruption2025.com.